Jake, give us an anecdote.
Well, so one of many reasons why last week was it wasn't a lot from us was the fact that the day we were going to go record, something happened to me, and it was awful, and it just goes to show like no good deed goes unpunished. So it was Monday night. Now Mallory works real early in the morning on Tuesday, every Tuesday. So a lot of times what I do is I go downstairs to the basement and I play video games. Gives her a head start to go sleep. I'm not fucking rolling around and bugging her and watching my phone and just doing all the stuff that just annoys the hell out of her. And it works out great. So I got a little carried away with the games and I was up till about 1:30 in the morning. Now I got to get up early on Tuesdays and take to school. So I was already planning to sleep for 5 hours, take her to school, come back, nap a little bit, then go to work. Then at like 5 o'clock in the morning, I get woken up. She's like, "Oh, I'm sick. I'm not going to school." And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Yes, yes." I mean, I'm sorry you're sick, but now I don't got to get up. So then I fell asleep. Next thing I know, I'm waking up, yelling for me, and Oakley's in my bed and she's all fucking wet and I'm like, okay, well, I guess maybe her and the puppy were playing. It's like all on my arm and shit. And I was like, what is going on? And she's like, I threw up on the dog. And so I go through a kaleidoscope of emotions of rage and disgust. And so to sum up what happened, had the flu. Bleep her name out. I don't think Mallory wants me blasting her name over our airwaves. Okay.
All right.
So the child has the flu, and she woke up, and the dog, our big dog, sleeps with her every night, and she was getting up to go to the bathroom to throw up, and the dog jumps off the bed at the exact time that the Ralph came out of the child. Just did a paint job on the back of the dog, and then the dog absolute paint job. The dog then decided she didn't like that on her, continues to then roll it off of her all over the house, the carpet, God, the hallway. Meanwhile, still moving because she's still got more boke to go. And I keep saying her fucking name. So the child gets into the hallway and Ralph's on the carpet going into the bathroom. And the dog then came into my room and jumped on the bed and tried to get it off of her on blankets and sheets and pillows and on me.
Oh,
so
God.
There was definitely this processing thing where I was like, no, this isn't real. God, this isn't real. This has to be some sort of nightmare. So because I was being a good husband and going to bed early so my wife could sleep long without me rolling around and doing ninja moves, I had 4.5 hours of sleep. And then I was cleaning up vomit and doing laundry. And I did that from when I woke up to when I had to go to work. And then I was at work and I'm cutting meat and I'm like, I've had like 6 energy drinks and it's just nothing doing. So I texted the guys and I'm like, I would be there, but I'd be a zombie. I would just be glossed over, making jokes about something happened 20 minutes ago. So. But yeah, so that was my morning. I cleaned up vomit from all over the house.
Gross. Yeah, so there was not a podcast last week. We didn't really have our shit together. And we were also having, to sum it up really easy, we'll just say that we were having technical difficulties and we shouldn't really blame anyone. But that's not how we roll on this podcast. So it was the fault of 1, 2, 3. Not it.
Not it.
Thanks, Paul. won't say that we were having technical difficulties because of Jake.
Whatever. Dave said not it last.
I very clearly heard. Fine, we'll try it again. 1, 2, 3, not it. Ooh, tie. All right, they both fucked up. I was the only person
saying
it
podcast. On my end, I'm saying it at the exact. I was saying it the exact time that you were saying it. On my end.
Oh, well, on your end, I caught it like after I had said it.
Now, Tyler says 1, 2, 3, and then as soon as he says not it, I say not it at the same time.
Yeah,
and then Dave, and then like 2 seconds later, Dave's like, not it, and then Tyler's like, oh, Jake, looks like you're.
No, it's because your shit was lagging over there because there must be like a tornado sucking up your internet right now.
Not my problem.
Yeah, a tornado sucked up my brother's internet.
I'm glad
you guys are getting the shit end of the stick. In a couple months, it'll be a wildfire eating your internet, Dave.
Dude, went to Denver yesterday, and halfway there, it was like winter wonderland. It's crazy. And it snowed here 2 days ago. We got like 2 inches.
Sorry, are you chasing whiskey with bubbly?
Yeah.
What the fuck is your problem?
Jake, I have a lot of fucking problems, none of which we're going to discuss on this podcast.
I season my eggs with rocks.
Yeah, rock salt. Fuck off. I fucking like bubbly. Eat shit.
Sure, I like bubbly too, but not to chase whiskey. It's like
it's
I'm gonna get a whiskey with a water
beverage.
back. Water back with my whiskey.
It's the last couple weeks on the podcast I've been drinking whiskey. I was chasing it with my bottled water. So what the fuck difference does it make?
Yeah, I guess so.
By the way, for those of you paying attention still up to this point, this is the Tire Preference Podcast where we talk about Formula One and we drink alcoholic beverages while we're doing stuff. I'm Tyler and I'm located in Oregon because I was blessed that way. If you don't live here, then you suck at shit. So fuck off.
Okay. I'm Jake. I used to live in Oregon, but I don't anymore, so I guess I'll just go fuck off.
Other than sorrow, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking energy drinks today because I'm pretty tired. So I've had this salted caramel thing, and I'm about to have this icy caffeine thing.
Jesus Christ.
How so bad
late
for
are
you.
you planning on staying up tonight?
We're gonna find out.
Jake wants to catch the throw up before it happens.
I was pretty tired today.
Maximum alertness.
I know. You can tell too.
Last and certainly not least, Dave, what are you drinking on and where are you at right now?
Oh, I'm still in Colorado.
Nice.
I'm not from here. I'm from where Jake's at. Out there in the middle of Missouri. I'm drinking a Calidad.
Naked.
Ooh. Very nice.
Some sort of Mexican beer. It's pretty good.
And though I didn't
mean cervezas?
Yes.
Cervezas?
Actually, I was a little wary about doing that because I drank the other half of that 12-pack yesterday during the race. I feel dried out today and whatnot. So, but I'll make it. We'll be all right.
That's good. And although I didn't explicitly say it, Jake did point out that I am drinking whiskey and bubbly right now. Not mixed together, just chasing one with the other. So
yeah. Only someone with like hairy knuckles would rig them together.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. No, I mean like bubbly mixed with other stuff isn't so bad. Like bubbly and gin isn't the worst thing in the world, but like I'm not gonna miss bubbly with whiskey. I'm not disgusting fucking person.
You want a fun bar prank? Is if there's like a loud group of people that are just being obnoxious? No. Order them rail gin shots. They'll think it's vodka. They'll take it, and then they'll watch them all go.
Ooh. The other ones order someone a cement mixer. Where it's Bailey's Irish cream and lemon juice, and it just starts curdling. It's a real dick move. A buddy of mine bought me one of those shots one time, think he was being slick, and I was drunk, but I'm like, I'm dumb, but I'm not fucking stupid. So like I saw it and I was like, no, I'm not fucking doing it.
That's one of those ones that you take down and it just comes right back up.
Yeah, it's a system cleanser. It helps prevent the hangover the next morning. So anyway,
this is going to be a great podcast. So I have a bit of a confession to make. I got a little too hammered yesterday during the race, and I kind of spaced out throughout most of it. So I got some notes.
Did that happen around the time that Carlos Sainz went off the track?
Yeah,
that's when it started.
Mel had one of our friends over, and we were having a little barbecue before I watched the race, and they were drinking some concoction, and I was like, I want to get a little drunk too. And then I came in to watch the race and continued to drink because I was having a good time. And then I suddenly noticed that all my beer was gone, and I was like, no, this was nope. I have made a mistake.
I watched it Sunday morning. Kristen made me pancakes while I was watching it.
Oh, nice.
Fucking hate you.
So we were
I live in the
we were gonna watch it live, but our computers, gosh darn, what do you call the charger? Yeah, the wire frayed up.
Oh, that's right. That's why you had to go to Denver.
So we drove out to Denver.
Picked up a new one to the big city to see what was going on,
which was an hour further away than Dave thought. So that's a hell of a thing to find out when you're on the
yeah. You're like, oh shit, this isn't 2 hours away, it's 3.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Well, I knew it was between like 2 and 2.5, or that's what I was thinking in my head. And so it's a 3-hour trip.
I did that having to drive down to Medford one time, and I got in my car and I was like, oh, this will be 2 hours. Then I pulled it up on Google Maps, like where I was going.
4.
Like, you will arrive your destination in 3 hours. And I was like, Jesus Christ. This is going to be my whole day, just driving to Medford and back.
Medford.
All
right, well, shall we cover a bit about the news? Little news action. Some of the news, latest headlines of the news. So I have been a very terrible co-podcaster, and I did fucking nothing this week as far as the podcast goes. But I do have an interesting piece of news. What's going on, Dave?
And he's cracking.
Yeah, what's so fucking funny, Dave?
Oh,
like, new.
Yeah, look at it. It's pretty.
That's pretty great.
Calls coming from inside the house.
Can we start calling Dave Dairy?
Right.
I can say breakfast.
So I didn't read any details in it, but there's talks. There's
Backskit.
Breakfast. So
anyway, sorry, go on.
The news. I didn't read any details into it, but I did hear them mention over the race weekend that there is talks about shaking up the F1 calendar and dividing it up into regions to make it easier and less difficult logistically to have races all over the world.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
A lot of fucking sense.
The only, I think, like the one thing that's holding them back is Monaco, because I think Monaco is like on specific dates is when they have it, and it won't jive with the way they want to redo the calendar. So,
well, all they really need to do really hugely is give it like a block for pretty much North and South American races. Then you got your European and like those races, and then you'll have your Japanese, Australian, Singapore. They still race there?
Yeah.
Your 3 Pacific races.
Yeah. The ones that are the furthest apart.
I think that would make sense because you can hammer out a lot of the European races. And with the amount of European races, like I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them even doing that in like 2 sections. Mm-hmm. So if they like started in the Middle East like they usually do, and then do Europe and then hit North America, because it's like Canada, the 3 races in the US next year, which will be
Miami, Vegas,
the USGP, and the Vegas race, and then go down to Mexico. But then you also like there's also Brazil. So like would they do those in one weekend and then maybe go back to Europe? But then this but
No,
I
I
feel
think-
like the seat
I think that they're just going to divide it up into, between this latitudinal line or longitudinal line and this longitudinal line. Like, okay, we're doing all the Americas, the Canadian and the Brazilian and the Mexican GP now. And then we're going to scooch on over across the pond and do all those races in that general area. And then we're going to scooch even further to the east and we'll hit, Japan, China, if it ever comes back on the calendar.
It might with a Chinese driver.
Australian.
Chinese GP.
Oh, they're
I don't
also
think it's-
they're not replacing the Russian GP. They're just not having a 23rd race.
This season. Next season there will be 23 races.
I bet you some of the racers are actually kind of relieved about that, get an extra week off.
Oh,
think
it's
that-
so hard.
Oh, making
Oh,
millions
no.
of dollars.
All I have to do is drive a race car.
I mean, I am interested to see like the quality of driving going up if not everyone's so jet lagged. Like I do support that idea of like, okay, we're in, where were they? They're in Spain and then Monaco, and then I think they're in Japan after that. So it's like such a huge jump.
Yeah, you really got to get there early to adjust yourself.
That's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why they used to have the Australian be the first race, was so they didn't have this massive travel to this like lonely corner of the world that only has one racetrack, and
Well, we
then
need
travel
two
back
more
to the
Aussie
rest of the world.
GPs, obviously. But I do want to see the Abu Dhabi GP. I still want that to be the last one though. And then I think that they should adjust it. Some of those places will be really cool. And this is just me personally. Some of those established tracks that have lights on them, like like in Texas and stuff. Let's make like also like another established race somewhere at night race. I think night races are fucking cool. And
They're
not
pretty
cool.
utilized enough.
They're also not as hot.
They're also not as hot, and I think that the tracks look super cool, well lit up.
Yeah.
Like the Vegas one will look really cool. But I mean, think about like an already established racetrack, other than like all the ones in the Middle East that they have to race on at night because it's way too goddamn hot. But like if they did like race in like the US GP in Texas, like if that was a night race, or if they did like the British GP as a night race, it'd be kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
Of course, we'd have to watch that at like, with the time zone changes, I don't know, like the middle of the night on Friday night, because they probably race it on Saturday night.
Well, that's why F1 TV is so wonderful. You can watch it whenever.
Yes.
You can watch it whenever you want.
Shout out to F1 TV, sponsor us so we can all have it for free.
That'd be great.
Next news story, moving on. We got to talk about Racing Point. Racing Point.
And the green red.
They were under investigation on Friday for copying, I think it was the engine louvers and something else on the Red Bull car.
For those of you that are not as seasoned Formula One fans, Tyler's saying Racing Point, he's talking about Aston Martin.
Yeah, Aston Martin. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was found out that they didn't, but it is noteworthy to note that two of the engineers from Red Bull did go over to Aston Martin recently.
So did they take some data with them?
I mean, it's hard to say that they didn't.
I can't imagine they wouldn't have had to sign some pretty thick NDA
Yeah.
before they went over.
Yeah.
But even then, it's got to be hard. Like if you're used to building something and you're like, make this as efficient as possible, and you're like, well, I already know a really efficient way. So
you can't. No, don't do that. Do couple
to the left.
Yeah.
Right there. So it was all found out that I don't think they got punished or anything. I don't think they thought that the Aston Martin was so similar to the Red Bull to say that it had been copied. But I will give a shout out to the Red Bull team. I think it was during one of the practice sessions.
I believe it was pre-practice one.
free practice one, they were all drinking green Red Bull cans. Now, for those of you that don't know or are new to this, the Aston Martin car is a green car, so it was the green Red Bull.
It was cheeky.
It was cheeky.
It was
I thought
cheeky.
it was hilarious.
I wanna hope that was Christian Horner's call to do that.
Yeah, or Helmet Marco or something. Somebody that's like got power that's just like, okay, yeah, you're taking a Red Bull over here. You're drinking a fucking green Red Bull while you're doing it.
Well, but it's Christian Horner. So one of the jackmen or the wheel guy was probably like, hey, it'd be really funny if we had green Red Bulls we all drank. And then Christian Horner was like, hey guys, do you be really funny is if we had green Red Bulls to drink. Everyone's like, wow, Christian, that's so funny. It's like the funniest thing we've ever heard. Meanwhile, the tire guy's just like, what?
Anyway, come January when the next season of Drive to Survive comes out, we'll know how that broke down. So, that's about it. I had some news stories all plugged for last week, but I forgot about them. So
yeah, there wasn't really a lot going on there.
That's all I got for last
there wasn't really
Nothing.
much happening with all the practice.
Nothing happened.
It was pretty uneventful, maybe a spin or two, but
spin or two, and you got to see it was some of the teams were utilizing their backup drivers. I think it's like 2 or 3 races out of the season.
Yeah, Williams
Each
had
team has to have
my bad. I interrupted you again.
How dare you? No,
So bad at
anyway,
that.
like 2 or 3 races out of the season, the backup drivers have to be utilized in a free practice section. So we saw Robert Kubica driving for Alpha. You saw one of the Red Bull up and comers driving Sergio Perez's car in FP1, and then somebody else was sitting in for Alex Albon, but I can't remember his name.
DeVries.
I think he's the one that might try and replace Latifi.
Yeah, and that's I think kind of lit a little spark under Latifi because he had a better race than normal for himself.
He didn't finish in last place.
Yeah,
well, we'll get to it, but yeah,
he got 16th place because it's GTNFs.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I guess do you guys want to talk about the race then?
Well, let's get into qualifying because there was one really huge thing that happened in qualifying, and that was Mr. Mick Schumacher made it to Q3.
Yay! Round of
both the
applause
Haas
for
boys
me.
made
And
it to Q3.
both Haas's made it to Q3.
We
So
were
that
pretty
was-
excited to see that.
That was pretty cool. I was
Yeah.
really excited for him. And apparently I don't know where I read this and if it was even true, but I read something that Steiner had had a conversation with Mick Schumacher about how many people are chomping at the
Mhm.
bit for that seat, you know, and it might have lit a little bit of a fire under his ass.
Right.
They won't. They're not gonna drop Mick.
I know,
Are you
but
fucking
yeah.
kidding me? Like,
you got to talk to your drivers every once in a while. Give them a little something to think about.
yeah.
I almost think that people overestimate him a little too much because they think that it's Michael Schumacher's son. He should just come in and just dominate and dominate and dominate. But you gotta, he's a young guy and this is his second season in Formula One. He's still just figuring this shit out. Give him some time.
Yeah.
He'll end up in the Ferrari seat when they dump Sainz for not being able to drive the car.
Yeah. Which is going to be at the end of his contract. Speaking of that, okay, like rumor corner real quick. It is rumored that Sergio Perez is in talks with Red Bull about doing another contract extension.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
I also saw
Interesting.
rumor corner. Matteo Benito said something to the effect of Sainz can't drive this car. He's not good enough.
Oh, damn. I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, he said
didn't hear
apparently
that.
Sainz can't jive with the idiosyncrasies of the car or something. I don't know. It was a clickbaity quote from a weird website I never heard of, so I didn't click on it because I don't want a virus. But I
mean,
saw it
what-
and I was like,
Take that one with a grain
Yeah.
of salt, then maybe.
yeah.
I would too, because Lewis Hamilton clearly can't fucking drive this car either, and that doesn't mean that Hamilton's a bad driver in any respects, and neither is Sainz. I think Sainz is a very good driver. I just
He's a
think
good
that-
driver.
He just had a stroke of bad luck. And let's get into
He's got
the race and we'll
he's got
talk
the
about
yips.
why we're talking about Steins.
Yes, and Leclerc and all the other people. And, so the race was on Sunday. Pacific
and a
Standard Time. It started 6 a.m., but I
Was
didn't
a-
get up and watch it. And then I got it up at 9 and watched it because I wanted to sleep in.
It was in a little old town called Barcelona. The home
Barcelona.
race. The home race for Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
And the Spanish folk there gave Checo a really warm greeting and reception there. They treated him really well.
That
gave him a lot of cheers.
We gave you all your culture and your language. You would be nothing without us.
You can tell on those, like a lot of those European races when they're nearing the Netherlands because of the amount of orange that you see everywhere. And you can tell they were in Spain because fucking everyone had a red t-shirt on. Like even the Max Verstappen fans had red t-shirts on.
Mm-hmm.
Which was cool to see. I like to see that sport for him. So I guess we should just jump into it. The race started. It looked good. Leclerc got off the line really well. Verstappen gave him a real good chase.
Sainz did not get off the line too well.
Oh, he had a anti-stall or something.
Anti-stall issue.
Yeah.
But he got off a little slow.
I think Russell made contact with someone into the first corner.
If he did, it was minor because I don't remember anything coming of it.
I didn't write anything down. The only thing I have
was minor. I just remember seeing it on the screen. I can't remember who he bumped into, but you can see him. I don't know if it was Sergio Perez or what, but you see him kind of wobbling a little bit and then got underway.
Yeah. Then what was it, like turns 3 or 4 where Hamilton and
5
bags? Oh, 5. Where they made
turn 4, I'm sure, is always an ass-puckering experience for Lewis Hamilton and probably Nico Rosberg too, even from the commentators.
Yeah,
that was from a different race many years ago. But
so
the two
good.
drivers took each other out in turn 4. For those of you listening, just look it up on YouTube and. God, it's fucking satisfying. It was so good to watch because it gave Verstappen his first win. So that was cool.
Yeah, because and it was really goopy because Hamilton goes for the pass, Rosberg shuts the door, and Hamilton then tries to pass him in the grass.
Which
didn't work. It didn't work.
That fast in a race car like that. Yeah, there was no it was never gonna fucking work. But they were so frustrated with each other at the time. You fucking went for it. And I remember watching on the TV being like, yes! Oh god! Because that was in the midst of of Mercedes' reign. So to see them for one race just annihilate both of each other on the first lap, and then okay, cool, we can watch a race without the silver arrows 7 seconds ahead of fucking everyone.
Right. To quote Crofty, more of that, please.
Yeah. So that was good. Turn 5, Hamilton bumps into Kevin Magnussen, sent Magnussen off into the gravel. Magnussen was able to recover and get back on track.
He's really good at doing that too. K-Mags, Kevin Magnussen, driver Ross, is really good at getting into the gravel and then
recovering.
not recovering,
not beaching himself.
He's got that feather foot.
Then so what'd you say? Hamilton, he had a puncture on that one.
Yeah, Hamilton got a puncture. It wasn't as good as watching two Mercedes take themselves out, but I did like seeing him tumble. To the back.
They also had a bit of a fumble in the pit. I don't know if you noticed, but the tire was flat and they were having trouble getting the jack under it. So they had to plug in the air hose to use the car's pneumatic jacks it's got on board, which they don't do in pits because it's another step to plug that bitch in. And it just takes an extra second. So they had to use the air jacks to pump them up so they can get the real jacks under it and drop the.
It was a long pit. It was a 10.4 second stop for Hamilton.
Drive to Survival. I love.
That'll be a 45 second.
That'll be a minute.
45 second. Yeah. That's so stupid.
But again, seeing Mercedes struggle,
warms my heart
a little bit.
Yeah.
So Hamilton, way out of contention, leaves George Russell out front on his own. Kind of not a very exciting race until we got to lap 14 or so, and that's when you started seeing that battle with Verstappen and
Russell.
and Russell, because I think at this point Leclerc was a good 7 to 15 seconds ahead of everyone.
It was almost like 30 seconds ahead.
He was booking out about at whatever that lap was when that started with Russell and Verstappen. Yeah, he was almost 20 seconds up on the rest of the pack.
Max was struggling with DRS. Sometimes it would open, sometimes it wouldn't.
Quite hilariously struggling with the DRS.
Yeah, because he's just frantically pressing the button, so he probably closed it a couple times. He was hitting it. And not to quote Avenged Sevenfold, but he must have hit it 50 fucking times.
I know.
You could see on the shots of the actual DRS flap that when it would hit the line, it would open and then immediately shut.
Yeah.
Well, and they even said on the radio,
or it would flutter throughout the thing.
They even said on the radio, you shut at that time, and he goes, yeah, because I'm hitting it 50 fucking times to make it work.
Yeah,
classic quote from Max Verstappen.
Which made, I mean, I would have loved to have seen him get by faster, but to see it was really like a testament to how good like the aerodynamics are in the cars these seasons, and how much season and how much better they are. Because last season that battle would not have gone on like it did for as many laps as it did. They went at it for almost 10 laps.
Right.
And Russell, I think they were saying there was the statistic that I saw that like the Red Bull car has 5 horsepower above the Mercedes going into this race. And the Ferrari had even 5 horsepower further than Red Bull did. But to see him go at it for that long, because last season you would have seen that. It would have been like 2 laps at the most, and then Verstappen would have had to back off.
Right.
Yeah.
And they went at it until I think they pitted Russell first, or Verstappen. I can't quite remember, and that sort of ended it. But there was at one point Max got around him, and then Russell was like, "No, fuck you. That's my spot."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Fucking Verstappen did that classic dive into the turn, and Russell was on that outside, and he said, "Nope," and he kept Russell right on into the inside on the next turn, and it was beautiful to see. It was exciting as all hell.
Russell pulled the Verstappen on Verstappen. One thing I wanted to say about the pits, though, if you noticed, so this race was a hot one. It was average air temperature was around 37 degrees Celsius or 98 if you're nasty. 49.7 was the track temperature, or 121. 121 degrees. That's hot. So when you saw the cars go into the pits, the pit lane looked like a fucking ghost town, because it didn't have dudes just chilling in the pit lane. The only people out were the people doing the pit, and then the next stall over, the wheel guy holding the hose out of the way. That was it. Yeah. There's usually, you see like, maybe a reporter or two down there, or a couple of the other teams just kind of standing around a little bit, but there was fucking nobody.
Yeah. Which I think helped, like, having the hot track really like started melting some of those tires, because all across the board, I think it was the 3-stop race for almost everyone.
Almost everybody.
So.
There was one point where Russell was on the horn with his race engineer or whoever, and they said Checo was going on like a 1-stop strategy, and he goes, "Blimey."
Yeah.
That's unmanageable. There's no way.
Not that being that hot. Yeah.
No.
Speaking of Checo, he made real fucking easy work getting around George Russell. That was really fucking good to see.
Well, he was on fresher tires. I think his tires were like 4 or 6 laps fresher. And because he was saying, "Let me pass Max and Russell. I can do it cleanly." And
I can get past them because I'm not having DRS fuck ups.
Yeah,
and they're like,
but they told him to hold off because he was trying to manage his tires or something. But he could have got easily ahead of them and managed his tires ahead of them.
That's always the excuse they give people. We're not going to pass you, even though we should, because we want you to manage your tires. No, you've already decided who you want to win.
Yeah,
and that's what you're keeping. Because Red Bull does not want Checo to win more than they want Verstappen to be at the leader of the championship.
And I want to talk about that because, once we finish going over the race, because I felt really bad for Checo, and I do, but I also understand where Red Bull is coming from. Because up at this point during the race, Charles Leclerc was still in it.
Yeah,
So
until
you're like
28.
Did you hear
he-
the just the heartbreak in his voice?
Yeah.
the heartbreak wasn't as bad as his heartbreak last year at Monaco. That was hard to listen to. But this, I felt really, even not rooting for Ferrari, I felt really bad for Ferrari this weekend.
Yeah.
For Sainz is off, and then Leclerc to just lose it like he did.
A turbo issue.
I think he had.
Was it a turbo issue?
Yeah.
He had a 30+ second lead too.
He was going to win.
Oh, yeah.
He was a pit stop ahead of everyone after he had already made a pit stop.
Yeah.
That was after the start of the race. That was the first time they had shown him because he was so far ahead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was gone.
So you said it was
But yeah.
a turbo issue?
Yeah, it's like the I can't remember what the exact part is, but yeah, it was some kind of turbo issue.
I just remember
the Turbski.
he was going into a turn and you just heard
Yeah.
it wouldn't. And it
I even
down.
wrote. So I heard what happened, and it sounded to me like the turbo fucked up, but they didn't say anything during the race. And it wasn't until after the race that they said, "Yeah, it was a turbo fuck up," because you could hear it. It just sounds like the turbo just went kabootsk. And then Zhao Guan Yu had a similar issue. I don't know if it was a turbo issue, but he also retired very shortly after Leclerc.
Another Ferrari power unit.
2 Ferrari power units getting shut down.
Is that worrisome?
For those of you new to this, was it Alfa Romeo that?
Yeah, Alfa Romeo. Yeah,
Alfa Romeo buys Ferrari engines. So, and that's kind of, I bet there was a lot of ass puckering with all the engineers on Ferrari, where it's like, okay, we've had, because who else? Because it's is it just Alfa Romeo?
Haas buys
Ferrari engines.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of ass puckering because now, like, no offense to Haas, now 50% of the competitive Ferrari engines are out of play here. And like Valtteri Bottas is also driving a Ferrari power unit and he's consistently top 10.
Right.
And so is Carlos Sainz. So I bet they were just waiting for something else to happen.
Yeah.
I think they might not have been as worried about Carlos Sainz because I think a lot of his shit was pretty fucking new due to all the incidents he's had.
True.
You know, his motor is 2 races newer because it didn't run in either one of those races.
Yeah.
2 races more fresh.
So so that was heartbreaking. And then at that point, that's when Red Bull sort of, I think, started playing the team game. I mean, if
they started playing the Max Verstappen has to win game.
Yes. And I was really okay, so let's just finish out the end of the race first. This
will be the quickest race breakdown we've ever had.
I think so. But I also don't want to, I mean, like, timeline wise, don't want to start talking about like my feelings about Red Bull until the end of it.
Sure. Something I want to say real quick is when he was having the DRS issue, I started to think like, you know, so I know Max is super loyal. I know that he's happy at Red Bull overall, but how many more of these? Because Max, more than anything, just wants to win. And I don't think he cares who he's doing it with as long as he is winning. And so how many more of these little fuck ups, maybe you can answer this, Tyler, in your opinion, does Red Bull get before Max just throws the 10 to the truck and drives away?
I mean, honestly, he's winning when he finishes.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Sure. But when he's not completing the race.
That's true. But the thing you also have to consider, like, if Max went, because Max isn't going to go to Williams or McLaren or any of these like back marker teams. Like, Max is very talented, and he would, if he was going to leave Red Bull, I think he would either want Ferrari or Mercedes. And the problem is, like, Ferrari and Mercedes are very traditional F1 teams in the sense of like, we're by the book, we're business, we're a big name in F1. And I don't think he would have the pull that he would have at Red Bull. I think he can help make a lot of decisions at Red Bull. And Red Bull, he's the fucking king. Like, yeah, like years ago, it was Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel was king of Red Bull because he had won so many championships with them. Now they have the new star, which is him. He's the number one driver there, and he's well respected. And he can get away with being upset and being flustered and those over like issues with his car, and it's not going to look like poorly on him, or it will, but it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Whereas like Ferrari, like if he was over there, I think he would just be more frustrated because, I mean, Ferrari, like, yeah, he was having an issue with the DRS this season, but last season, Red Bull fucking crushed it. And this season, anytime he finishes first place. So I think you would have to see the competitiveness of the Red Bull car tumble and a really good offer from another team for Max Verstappen to leave.
Sure. But I mean, if say he's got the most competitive car, when it works, he wins. And when he wins, he's seconds ahead of everyone else. But the failure rate is still pretty damn high, and he's not leading in the championship points, like say for the first 5 races of the season. If that kind of shit continues throughout the whole season, where he only actually gets to race maybe 15 races out of the 22, and that fucks up his championship points, then what? Because sure, you're in a competitive car, but that shit don't work all the time. So do you go with the fastest car or the more consistent car?
I guess we'll have to see. Sorry, Dave, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say it'd probably take a couple of maybe 2 years of that before he would leave. I think more. Yeah, if it starts to be like a trend that he's seeing, he might jump ship. But
because I don't know when his contract is up, but let's say hypothetically it was the end of the year, where would he go? Like he would want to go to a competitive team, so it would either be Ferrari or Mercedes, but he will not go to Mercedes if Lewis Hamilton's there.
Why not?
And the two Ferrari guys
he'll want to be number one driver.
He'll want to be number one driver. And right now, the number one driver at Ferrari is Leclerc, and Leclerc is under contract. His contract ends next season, I think.
Next season or the year after?
I think it's 2020. I thought, yeah, it's like 2023, I think is when it ends.
And then Sainz just got a 2-year contract extension. So there's like, unless like Hamilton retires and there is a real good like offer from Mercedes, but even then, like Mercedes this year has been an absolute shit show. So why the fuck would you want to leave Red Bull for that?
I'm just saying. Just wanted to know where you think his head's at, because he doesn't seem very. I mean, sure, he's happy with the team, but he's not when shit's not working. So
no, and that's just. I mean, he'd be frustrated anywhere. I think that
he's also Max, and he's even if it's a little frustration, he's going to voice it.
Right. Maybe he'll join up with Audi when they come in.
Maybe. So, anywho, back to where we were. Leclerc leaves the race at this point, and then Red Bull takes the lead, and now
Russell was in first for a while. He had quite a few laps where he was leading the race before.
And then they came in for the second pit stop.
Yeah.
And then they came out, and I think that's like when Red Bull did a little bit of a switcheroo, because Checo was on a different strategy, and that's when I started really feeling bad for Checo.
Right.
Yeah. Like when he said, "Yeah, this is really unfair, but okay."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
And it goes to show like Checo is there and he's consistently on the podium and he's a very good driver, and I want to see Checo Perez win. Sergio Perez, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, for the uninitiated.
And I think that he deserves it, especially for being the good, playing second fiddle to Max Verstappen all of last season.
He's been
and
amazing.
So I felt
teammate.
that way for the rest of the race of like, they really should let Checo through until they got to the finish, and Max ended up winning, and Sergio Perez got second place. And it's when I saw the points breakdown at the end of the race where I got where Red Bull's head was at, which was now that Charles Leclerc DNF'd by Max Verstappen winning, Max Verstappen is back into first place in the championship. He's the reigning champion, the defending champion. So Sergio Perez has to know in the back of his mind that's where Red Bull's attention is getting Max the second championship.
Yeah. Which is funny because they're always like, "Oh, there is no one driver. We're just racing. They're just racing."
It's such bullshit. Yeah,
it is.
Between Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, there's a number one driver in all three of those fucking teams.
That's true. Although maybe I'm biased, but I feel like Ferrari has been the least. Hey, do this for Leclerc, do that for Leclerc, to Sainz. I feel like they do just let those guys race. And it was like, what was it, the first race where for a second those two were racing each other? No, I'm thinking of a different team. I'm thinking of
let's say Sainz hasn't really given the team that many opportunities to make those kind of team calls. Like, well, that's the way it is
because he keeps crashing the car.
He just hasn't. He hasn't been up there with him to make those kind of those decisions,
those moves. All right, go fuck yourself.
So
I've been wanting to say that a lot lately. I don't know why.
Fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's in my own mind, and maybe I'm a bit psychotic for thinking this, but I just think it's a fun response to just yell at someone, because it's like you have like this thing where, what's it called? Like the police have it's like escalation of violence or behavior or something like that, where if some guy's yelling at you, you just talk to him. If they pick up a weapon, then you get your taser, blah, 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 all the way up to like just shooting him in the back because they're running away. But there's like this. I'm putting some hot dogs away. That's interesting. Anyway,
that's what she said.
At work today, and I had to kind of stand on this milk crate to do it. And this one kid comes into the cooler.
Much taller than you were, or what?
No, like the shelf was really tall, and they were already stacked pretty high up there. So I was standing on that to get the hot dogs up there. This kid comes in, and he's like, "Don't hurt yourself." And for some reason, I just want to yell, "Fuck off!" like really loud at him.
Fuck off.
Or like if someone coughs, you're just like, "Go fuck yourself."
I did the fuck off thing gets me too, because I yelled that a lot. I was at a concert a couple of years ago, and I was running from the bathroom back to my seat, and I ran by some people that recognized me, and it was like a buddy of mine that I worked out with, and he goes, "You suck, Tyler." All I heard was "you suck." I thought it was somebody completely different, and I just responded with "fuck off." They're like "fuck you" or something, and I guess it fucking killed everyone that he was sitting with. And I thought it was one of my old coworkers. So I texted him like, "Are you at this concert?" And he's like, "No." And then like it wasn't until I got tagged in Facebook the next day to find out like who it was. So yeah, that's like my generic response. Like when someone says so, you just go "fuck you," and they're like, it's like my boss, like, "Hey, we want to give you a raise." Fuck off. Oh shit. Yeah, no, I will take that.
And I don't know why, but I've been wanting to give everyone the finger. Like I'll just like if I catch someone's eye from across the room, I just want to give them the fucking finger really bad. I've gotten to the point where this is also just like the funniest thing I can think of. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting really basic with my humor at my age.
About it too, I saw a video and it was some guy who was just flipping off a raccoon in a tree. He just like looks up at it and he just flips it off. I thought it was the funniest thing. We're the same.
I think what really got me back into it was when those Canadian truckers were having their stupid protest driving across the continent or whatever, and they're in this town, and this dude's on his balcony yelling, I'm like, "You're the fucking terrorist, fuck you and your cunt wife." And they're like, "Why don't you come down here?" But he's like, "I got these for you right here, bud. Take these. Look at these."
Yeah. Turns out it was just Shorzy from Letterkenny yelling.
I cannot do a Canadian accent without slipping into Shorzy because that's like my favorite shit in the world.
The one that
why don't you rock your piss from 10 feet back here like a real man? Go fuck yourself. Give your balls a tug, you tit fucker.
Why don't you give your fucking balls a tug?
Should have had your mom last night. Sound like a Tonkinese cat getting his tail caught in the window. Like,
The thing that got me back into flipping people off and thinking it was funny, this was probably like 2 years ago, and it was like during the shutdown of the pandemic, and some guy had his turtle in his tank, and he was playing tic-tac-toe with a turtle, and so he drew out a tic-tac-toe board, and the turtle would bump where he wanted it, and the guy wanted to just flips his turtle off.
Fucking idiot, you terrible at this game.
It was so dumb, but I fucking laughed at that video like all day one time.
Oh, anywho, the race happened.
So
the race happened. Did we get to the end of the race?
We pretty much covered the whole thing. We can go over who won, but we pretty
I don't
much
want to derail the podcast, but can I say one more thing about turtles?
Sure.
So the giant land tortoise makes a really funny noise when it has sex. And I thought,
God, yeah.
I thought what if you had that as like your ringtone? It's just like you're in the library, and all of a sudden you start hearing your pocket.
Do you remember when we showed that video to Brandon? The tortoise is having sex. We almost fucking killed him in your apartment.
Yeah,
He stopped breathing from laughing so hard.
He didn't think that they did that. He thought we were lying. It's like, no.
And we showed it to him.
Their legs kind of like.
And, yeah, the front paws do something, and that Brandon hit the ground fucking laughing.
I thought he was gonna die.
Beat red the whole fucking time. And the video, and yes, it's weird, but 3 guys in an apartment watched a tortoise is having sex on the internet.
That's hilarious.
It was strange, but like the noise was so off-putting that it was fucking hilarious. It just fucking murdered Brandon. Like he was dying the whole time we were watching it.
That's
Turtles
awesome.
don't make noises. They don't. They're not like they're not like a cat or a dog.
They kind of hiss sometimes.
Unless they be fucking.
Box turtles, they'd be like.
As soon as they be fucking. Are you sure he wasn't humping something?
No, nothing. They're just gonna hiss a little.
So speaking of noises, the race ended. Max Verstappen won. Rock on. Sergio Perez got second place. Also rock on. Max Verstappen, and then George Russell got a podium.
Yep. Followed by Sainz, followed by Hamilton.
Russell. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I was gonna say I do like seeing George Russell on the podium.
Yeah, I don't mind it. And he is the only driver this season to finish top 5 every race.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kicking the fuck out of Hamilton in the process, which makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Hamilton had a good drive yesterday.
Speaking of which, yeah, as much as we shit on Hamilton, he had an amazing drive. Even for being so pessimistic at the beginning.
Let me get into that. It's fuck Lewis Hamilton corner. Fuck Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton, I will say this, great driver. He's there, and like we've said in other podcasts before, Lewis Hamilton is not in the position he is in by accident. Lewis Hamilton is a fantastic driver. He's probably one of the best drivers in the field. He's won 7 world championships. He's tied with Michael Schumacher for the championships. Could be the greatest of all times, and I am happy to be able to watch that in my lifetime. Now, with that being said, Lewis Hamilton goes off the track, and what was that? The first lap?
First lap.
I get the burps. First lap, pits because he's got a puncture. Way down the order. Gets on the intercom. He's like, well, And maybe we should just call it and save the power unit, which strategically makes sense, especially if you're Mercedes and you want to be near the top. It's fine. Could save you from like a nasty DNF later.
Yeah, but for a guy that's never quit,
Yeah.
So always role model.
Together we rise,
For a role model.
So then Lewis Hamilton does what he does. He shut the fuck up. He put his head down, and he managed to go from like dead last, and he finished what, fifth?
Yeah, at the time he was in 20th. This was before the retirement.
Yeah, so dead last up until to get fifth place, which is an incredible drive. Like, I can't shit on that. But then he gets on the radio at the end, and Toto Wolff comes on. He's like, sorry for the shit car, but you drove really well. Good job. And he's like, great job. Thanks to everyone at the factory. And what he usually does, we never give up. Fuck you. 60 fucking laps ago, you wanted to fucking give up. Like, yeah. And that's not, that for me, that's not, we never give up. You wanted to give up and they fucking wouldn't let you give up. And now you got to be like, oh, yeah, God. Oh, we never give up. We face diversity and blah, 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 blah. Like, you were ready to fucking take a shower and be on the first flight home. Like, and yeah, I get it.
That is a bit hypocritical.
Fucking super hypocritical. And again, that's coming from me. When it comes to Sunday morning and racing, all I fucking do is I sit on my couch and I watch it while I'm eating fucking pancakes and drinking coffee. Like, I have no dog in the racing fight, except like, if I see that, like the hypocritical shit, just fucking bug the shit out of me.
Negative. You have a lot to say. Well, I mean, because that's why they're racing, is for people like us that are watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not for the trophies or the fame.
Well, you know what I mean. There wouldn't be a sport if we weren't watching it.
I'm only Lewis in this
Hamilton
car
is racing for me sitting on the couch and not for the gazillions of dollars he's making by doing it.
If there's no one watching, there's no gazillions of dollars. So
that's true.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if without without Joe Sixpack watching the game, watching the race, then there is no race.
There's going to be a lot more of that Joe Sixpack now. There's more U.S. fans.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I just hope they don't cheese them out too bad. I hope they go swimmingly. Give the U.S. a good racing reputation. Like, let it keep coming back here and not be a fucking farce or a circus.
Well, the U.S. has done a really good.
Like a lot of, I mean, out of all the countries in the world, we have 3 of them, and then it's like
we're a big country too.
2, yeah, but I think that you get a good mix. Like, you have Miami, which is like super ritzy, and Las Vegas will be super ritzy too. But like,
you got Coda, which is
race in Texas, and this was like
barbecues and Daisy Dukes.
But that's just like a real good race too. Usually, it's a good track.
It's a fantastic track, and I don't quote me on what the dollar price is for a general admission ticket. I'm talking a general admission ticket, not like you're buying like the pit passes and all this stuff. Like, just to walk in the door for the whole weekend. When I took the tour down there, the lady was saying it was $150. $150 gets you in Friday for the practice sessions, Saturday for qualifying, Sunday for the race, and Sunday for the concert after. Because the guy who brought F1 to Texas was like, I want this to be affordable for people. So for 2 out of the 3 races, it's for like the glitz and the glamour of like, yeah, it's $1,000 a ticket. It's really fucking expensive. But one race here is just dirt fucking cheap. I think that's fantastic.
I would love to go to Coda and see a race one time.
We're gonna go in a couple of years. We're saving up money for these super duper expensive tickets.
If you can go, Annie and I'll try to go at the same time. We'll all fucking.
There's got to be a KOA nearby.
Either way, I mean, we can. Yeah, we'll
I'm crashing that party.
I would love to go see a race there.
It's not Kristen's jam, but our cousin Tommy, who's a fan of the podcast. Shout out to Tommy. Congratulations if you're listening this far.
Going on, Tommy?
I haven't been. But we were talking about that the other night when I called him, and I was like, well, Jake and Mallory like want to go all out and get pit passes and stuff. And Tommy and I were like, well, let's just get hammered and stand on a corner and paint numbers on our chest. So like we're like, you know, if it's Max when he's not world championship, both of us will have 3 like shaving to our chests instead. And shout out to the guy they built. I mean, this is like a quick circuit of the American moments. It's like it's Austin, but it's not in downtown Austin, obviously.
No,
for those who've been watching for a while, it's in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? It's like a 20-minute drive, right? And they built it out there, and they butted up against like someone who owns property out there, right? So there's like one of the when you come up the hill and you start going into those like S turns, like the chicanes in there, I think that's the proper terminology. There's a guy, it goes track, fence, small field, fence, and this guy's property. And he built a shack where like it looks like a hunting blind where he can just stand out there and watch the race for free. And it's a really good fucking seat.
That's awesome.
Because Coda's so hilly, and like if you're in one spot in the track, you can see the cars from multiple angles and stuff.
Well,
and
and
just have.
And nowadays they have so many jumbotrons on each track that when the cars aren't directly in front of you, you can just watch them on these giant 40-foot TVs.
Yeah.
They do.
But I have to imagine that like come October, this guy like in Texas, it'll be like on a Friday and he hears engine noises and he's standing outside and he's like, well, I think racing's in town this weekend.
Yep.
Better
you want
go to the
you want to go to the shack or?
Yep. I suppose we ought to do that.
All right. You want to horses or maybe the UTVs?
UTV. Could be a wild one.
Horses might get skittish and run away.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, they have like grain sticking out of their teeth and leaning over the fence when they're having this conversation. Like
barley.
Well, ought to grab a case on the way out there.
Mm-hmm. We can fit more beers on the back of the UTVs.
Good.
We should. Been a pretty exciting season thus far. Hate to run out there.
Don't want to miss it.
Mm-mm. Don't get much radio reception nearby.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sure.
What you looking at?
The sun.
Stuff. And memories.
This great land of ours.
Looking out into the distance and just wondering,
how do we keep listeners?
I know.
Yeah, no shit. Anyway, we haven't done that's not a Circuit of the Americas breakdown. Believe me, we're gonna need like 4 episodes to break down that shit.
Well, maybe 3.
But now that we covered the race, that was the podium finishers that we had talked about. That was Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and George Russell. That was pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Should we look ahead because the next race is
Monaco?
We should look ahead. Also, this is a good spot for Dave to put in some quick like party tunes, just like. This is what we come to our favorite section of the podcast, which we like to call time filler. Because Dave can cut it off at any point to make a properly full podcast.
Yeah, well, this is where I work my magic, fellas.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Monaco.
Monaco, yeah.
If you knew the sport, Monaco is classic race. It's the one everyone wants to go to, the one everyone wants to win. It's a home race to Charles Leclerc because he was born there, but it's kind of a home race to everyone because almost every driver has a fucking house in Monaco.
It's also, out of all the races, consistently been the longest one on the calendar. Like they've raced there the most times. It's one of the most traditional F1 races. They usually say it's the Super Bowl of F1 races in the sense that it's just the most popular race.
It is the most popular race.
Because
you think F1, you think Monaco. You think
Monaco. They
race the yachts
on
on that sweet little chicane and turn.
Yeah, doing that real tight, hairpin turn. There's
three-wheel motion.
Maybe two spots, or at least, two spots in the track where you can actually pass someone. It's one of the races where, like, if you're new to F1, really, really pay attention to qualifying on Saturday, because that is going to. The race on Sunday can be a little slow because it's kind of a parade, but whoever is in first place on Saturday really, really fucking gets the advantage at Monaco.
Yeah, that's true.
The race is won on Saturday, as they say.
And it is the one race that I will watch live at 6 o'clock in the morning drinking mimosas.
Yeah, I would probably do the same. And I mean, what is it? It's such a thin track, not a lot of passing zones.
Yeah.
It's street course.
Because
and these are bigger F1 cars compared to what they used to be.
And I will not be watching the race live because I have a real job.
I got a real job too. I work Monday through Friday. Fuck you. You don't have a real job. You work on the weekends.
Yeah, fuck you. I supply people the ability to barbecue every day.
Fuck you. I read the electricity and the water at their house so they can power their stoves inside their house, their ability to watch F1 and wash their hands.
We had a guy come in to do a propane exchange, and we were out of propane, and there was no one there that knew how to give him a proper refund, so he's getting really pissy. And one of the boys in back said, well, can we give him like a free fillet? And I was like, what's he gonna cook it with? He doesn't have any propane.
Fuck him for going to the grocery store. Everyone knows that you buy the propane exchange tank, so you have a brand new propane tank. You just fill it up at the gas station.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, Monaco.
Moving along. So yes, Monaco's coming up. There's two straightaways on it where it's coming like the main straight where like the start finish line is a good passing zone. We've seen it get nasty in the past. Max Verstappen, and this is really a testament to like modern F1 technology, went a good well over 100 miles an hour straight on into one of the safety barriers back in 2017, I think.
Something like that.
Got out and walked away. It was incredible.
I remember we had a little argument about this. Somebody didn't believe it happened.
Yes.
I don't know who that
was.
And then the other good passing zone is coming out into the tunnel, out of the tunnel
into the chicane.
Into the, what do they call it, the pool chicane or some shit like
that?
Yeah,
something like that.
Something like that. Famous incidents in that area. I think it was Charles Leclerc. No, it wasn't him. It was someone for Williams. Their fucking brakes exploded one year. That was insane.
There's another year where Kimi Räikkönen just completely ignored the turn and went straight on.
Over the Kimi Räikkönen DNF'd one year there. Kimi Räikkönen, former Alfa Romeo driver, was a Ferrari driver, retired
Lotus
last year, and Lotus. He wrecked or DNF'd, parked his car, and instead of coming back to the pits, got out and went to the boat all of his friends were hanging out on.
Yeah.
Out of his racing suit and hang out there. It is home to a lot of drivers, so it's a home race for a lot of people, and it's the prestigious one. Everyone wants to win it.
Everyone wants to win Monaco.
So with that being said, looking ahead to Monaco, what are your predictions?
I guess Monaco, let's do predictions.
Well, I think that Leclerc has already had his Monaco curse this year. with Nicky Lauda's car.
I was going to say the same
I
thing.
was going to talk about that. Yeah.
So he has already had a big crash this year that cost a lot of money. I think that he'll not crash this time. And I say he gets the W in his home Grand Prix, his actual home Grand Prix.
I think he finally
born and
gets
raised
it.
in that country.
Yeah, I think he finally gets it because he would have had it. What was it? He had pole and he ended up fucking up his hitting, like barely nicking a wall and then kind of banking into one and fucking up his gearbox. And it ended up causing him it was like the formation lap that he ended up
formation lap
being retired. Yeah. So yeah, I think
was it the formation lap or was it him leaving the pit and coming around to park before the formation lap?
Oh,
that was it. Yeah, I think that was it.
But he wasn't even on the grid for the formation lap to happen.
Really? Wow.
Or something like that.
Wait, like you said, I think he got his Monaco incident out of the way this year, and also he got a DNF last race, so I think he might have got that out. Hopefully,
he'll have a new power unit for
Monaco. So I think Ferrari is going to come in strong in Monaco.
Go to come.
I hope Valtteri Bottas, when he goes in for pits, they don't,
buzz
shred a wheel nut.
Yeah.
Oh man,
they did last season.
I remember watching that, just like, no, he's the one Mercedes driver I can't want to root for.
I can't wait to hear Lance Stroll's radio. Make the car better. My seat won't adjust.
What the hell?
My headrest hurts my neck.
Yeah, other heartbreaking incidents was like when Danny Ricciardo was set, I think in 2018 to win Monaco, and there was a fuck up when he came in for tires and like the Red Bull pit wall was just not fucking ready.
Yeah, they weren't ready.
It was like the next year or the year after he came back and won it, which was fantastic.
I think the other thing that was really shitty about that time was he lost the race by a fraction of a second because he pitted before, I think, Hamilton. And because they had that fuck up, they released him just as Hamilton was passing him in the pit lane. And so that's why Hamilton came out in front, and then he just couldn't.
Yeah.
But so with that being said, like when Red Bull's on it, Red Bull can do really well. I think who won there last year? Was it Verstappen that won last year?
Verstappen, I think, yeah.
So when Red Bull's on it, Red Bull does really well there. So I think it'll be Red Bull on top for this one. This is my prediction.
That's your prediction. Well, I'm gonna go with Jake on this one and say Leclerc is gonna finally get his W at home that he's been chasing for so long.
Yeah. All year the Ferraris have been really fast in the slow corners.
Yeah, so I think Sainz will probably it'll be I think Ferrari 1-2 on pole or in qualifying and in the race. So that's my prediction. We'll give a third. Who am I gonna go third? Give a weird one. How about Bottas? Bottas gets on the podium.
I want to see Bottas podium.
I think he has a really good qualifier and he ends up on the podium in the race.
I want to see Ricciardo podium.
That would be sweet.
I want to see Ricciardo podium too. That's a home race for him as well.
But what he's been
home, but
he just hasn't been performing.
It's been a bad season for him, I will say. With that being said, as bad as a hardcore Red Bull fan, as bad as I want to see Verstappen on top, I would not be upset to see Charles Leclerc win his home Grand Prix. I think
that'd be really cool.
I think that under everything is the best. Like when you see like Max win in the Netherlands, that's fantastic. Danny Rick winning in Australia.
Yeah, somebody winning their home race. That's cool to watch.
It's
for America
to watch.
Yeah.
Because he's an American.
I'm not going to say that I'm rooting for Charles Leclerc, but if Charles Leclerc nails it out of the park all weekend and he won, wouldn't be upset about it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We will see.
We will see.
And
well, alrighty then.
What?
This has been the Tire Preference
podcast.
Thank you so much for listening. quick update for those who are listening to us on YouTube. We are working on getting on a podcast network. Don't have a timeline on anything. We're just kind of working some stuff out. So bear with us in the time being. We appreciate everyone that's listening to us on the YouTube platform. It's been really good for us so far.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks Cody and Em. We're talking about you guys. Tommy as well. Mom, you too. Dad occasionally listen.
We just want you guys to be able to listen to it easier. And it's a lot easier to just put it on the background and not have your phone screen on. And draining your battery and all that shit. And a lot of people don't have YouTube Red because it's weird. So, it's the next evolutional step in our podcasting. Yes.
So stand by. It is something we're working on. Just bear with us. We don't have a timeline for it, but it is something we're working on.
Diligently.
So yes, with that being said, I'm Tyler with the Tire Preference Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at t.k.66 for lackluster Instagram content. Occasionally it plays a story. I want to get better about it, especially a lot of outdoorsy shit too. So check that out if you're interested. And that's the only social media I'm really on.
And I'm Jake. You can find me on Instagram at _red_Kennedy45. I rarely post anything on there, but I guess I'll get better at it. You can follow me on Twitter at @the_Red_Kennedy45. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at the Preference Pod, and you can find it, of course, on YouTube at the Tire Preference Podcast. Tell your friends about it. Like, subscribe, share. Do the stuff, and then eventually we'll be on Spotify or
whatever,
Amazon Music if that's your thing. I like Amazon Music,
Apple Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk more about that when we actually get on there. Spotify, I already said that, but whatever. Yeah. And I'm gonna go ahead and say keep with the track limits.
All right. I'm gonna say, you know what? Fucking hit the gas. And per the conversation we were having earlier, flip it off while you're hitting the gas too, and say fuck you.
Yeah, bring using your middle finger into your life more. It's fun for everyone involved. You're gonna confuse people. You're gonna make them upset, but you
should flip your boss off and do it to HR as well.
It can be quite cathartic. So
it is, like a good poop.
Feels good on the inside. Feel like you're emptying. Yeah, like a good poop. You feel like you're
like a good poop
yourself out a little bit.
Dave, do your social shout out.
Yeah, Dave, where are you? Where can we find
social
you?
Plugs?
Social plugs.
What is going on? We're at Tyler's house.
Kristen's doing some shit in the background. We got a tiny apartment. It's what we're working with. We're trying to get our AC set up in the bedroom because it's been hot as a motherfucker in the middle.
I don't even want to hear it. It's fucking disgusting out here. Get her a green Zorb suit. Green suit, so she looks like a ghost. She looks like the Predator walking around your apartment.
Just edit her out. Green man,
green man.
Or if she just wore the green suit, we could just edit like she just got like a chicken body as she walks around in the background. We got a 1-bedroom apartment and I podcast in the living room. You can see my vaulted ceilings in the background. Like I'm doing what we can right now, all right?
All right, sorry to interrupt your shout outs.
Oh, you're fine. That was funny. You know where to find me at the Maximum_Dave at Instagrams, where I will do better to throw some stuff out there. And also you can follow me and my wife on our expeditions around the US at Featuring Friday on Instagram, currently in Colorado. Yeah, where we'll be.
Thanks again for listening in, everybody. We love you all, and I guess we'll talk to you next week.
Like, subscribe, share, like,
subshare, subshare,
like, subscribe, and
scribe.
And tell your friends.
Send a carrier pigeon. Send a raven.
Tell your friends. Word of mouth goes a long way.
Subscribe, share, and do all that stuff.
Yep.
We drink the whole time we're doing this fucking podcast, right? At a certain point, we're gonna be fucking.
At the end.
It gets a little loosey goosey towards the end. So what?
Yeah.
It's like the audio version of like unfocusing your eyes and looking at words.
We're going
If
in
you
from
could
a
just-
light room to a real dark room.
If you can go from talking in block letters or writing in block letters to good English and then writing in cursive, that's the gist of this podcast.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed
Alrighty,
it.
boys. Well, until next time. Talk to
Until
Until
next
next
time.
Goodbye.
I love you.
you.